Good afternoon and welcome to Euroa in the northeast of Victoria, Australia. And I am super excited today. Today we are heading up to Albury for the very first time in flying Rex's Saab aircraft from Albury to Sydney. Now, you're probably asking, why am I doing this? Well, I've actually never flown the Saab aircraft before. I was a huge devotee of Rex when they first jumped onto the market 3.5 years ago with their 737s. And I was flying to Adelaide and Sydney and the Gold Coast, and we were on their inaugural flight to Hobart. It was super fun. Was devastated when they went down. Now, I have a little bit of a connection with Rex, being an ex-Ansett devotee. Used to fly Ansett every 8 to 10 weeks, needless to say. Lost a lot of global rewards points when they went under. So when Rex entered the market with that connection with Hazelton, it was a no-brainer for me, break the duopoly. So when they went down in July, I was a little bit devastated, I must admit. But today we thought we would give it a go, given that we live halfway between Melbourne and Albury. So join me today as I review Rex's service from Albury to Sydney.
I must admit, as someone who regularly flies from a very busy Melbourne airport, flying from Albury Airport was rather refreshing. From the moment we drove in, it was super easy to park in the undercover secure car park. We did pre-book, and it was definitely a way better deal than parking on site at Melbourne Airport. It took us less than 10 minutes from parking the car to dropping our bags and getting our boarding passes. And as you can see, the terminal was almost empty. There was no security, not sure if that's a good thing, but as you can see, it looks more like an airline lounge than a terminal. There was a good selection of food and beverages on offer from the Weaver Cafe and Bar, which were reasonably priced. Not the usual heart attack you get in most airport terminals, looking at you, Al Maktoum International in Dubai. I personally loved the name Weaver, as it is the name of an aircraft that temporarily stopped in Albury back in 1934 as part of a flight race. But I'm not going to give the story away, as you'll just have to come to Albury and read all about it on the wall opposite the cafe. But obviously you can Google it too. I was actually quite excited seeing the plane so up close too. And as there were only 12 people on board, the plane has a capacity of 34, it felt like a bit of a bus service, given that the engines had not yet started and it was eerily quiet. I absolutely loved how the first officer shook hands with everyone boarding and thanked us all for flying with Rex. Just a nice touch that you'll never see from Qantas or Virgin, that is for sure. The seats are in a 2-1 configuration, so no having to climb over others to get to the bathroom. The flight attendant was super friendly, and it really did feel like a local service, as she appeared to know everyone on board. And how good is the view from my seat? That sound was just amazing. Given this was my first time flying this aircraft type, I had really no clue as to how noisy or bumpy it was going to be, but I was super pleasantly surprised. And just look at those views. I loved flying at a much lower altitude too. You get to see so much more. We got an in-flight magazine, some snacks, water and a hot drink. And it was only just over an hour in the air after all. And before we knew it, we were in Sydney. super cool landing this little plane up alongside some of the largest commercial aircraft in the world. So we made it. Here we are in our hotel, the Novotel on Darling Harbour here in Sydney. It was a great flight. I don't think there was much I could fault, I have to say. Huge buzz to be able to walk from where you park your car to the gate in 10 minutes. I mean, I don't know too many airports in the world where you can do that. So that was a bit of a buzz. There was hardly anyone there. The coffee at the coffee shop there was actually really good. It was well priced and it tasted great. I really liked how they had so many workstations where you could charge your laptop, charge your phone. I thought that was really great. There was these little sort of hutches which were cute. So yeah, I think, and no gate lice. You know what I'm talking about if you're a frequent traveller. So all in all, it was a really good experience. It was a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. I thought smaller plane, it was going to be a bit more bumpy, but no, it wasn't. And taking off and landing was surprisingly smooth. The plane was probably about half full, I think. So there was probably about 12 people on board. So it had a bit of a, I don't know, charter flight, private jet kind of feel to it, which I really liked. I liked that it was really laid back. There was no security at Albury Airport. And it just felt like, I don't know, you were flying with some mates. I liked that whole sort of feel to it. It felt very casual, laid back, very country. So yeah, we got a savoury and a sweet snack, some water, cup of tea, cup of coffee, which, you know, on just over an hour flight, you can't ask for more than that. I really loved being picked up by the bus and taken directly to the baggage carousel. I think we timed it from when we landed to when we arrived here in Darling Harbour. It was under an hour, which is pretty amazing considering we landed at 5:30, which obviously is one of the busiest times during the day here in Sydney. And we Ubered, just to be transparent. So it was a really good experience. I'm actually looking forward to the flight back. So a few things I'd like to say about Rex. I'm actually quite devastated that they went into liquidation. I thought they were actually doing pretty well. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, but then kind of not. So here's my thoughts. I think there are a few things that Rex could have done a lot better early on. I still firmly believe that there is room in the Australian aviation market for a third player. And I am not an aviation expert in any way, shape or form. I have never worked in the aviation industry. This is just from literally a traveller's perspective and just from what I've observed as an entrepreneur. I think that Rex waited way too long to, I don't even know that they did, to be honest. They didn't go after the business market, and I think that would have really hurt Qantas and Virgin. I think if they had have gone after those corporate clients and done that fairly early on in the piece. I think they waited way too long to roll out Rex Flyer. It's really disappointing that we're not able to use our points because it's all tied up with the sale. So that was a bit disappointing. So these fares that we paid from Albury to Sydney and return were cash. The other thing I think that Rex didn't do well was market. When they went under, a lot of Australians did not know that they were running 737s into city. And that's a huge disappointment. I know a lot of people that I know in my circle didn't know that they did that. So I think there's a number of things that they could have done better. I certainly think that there's room for them. I really, really am an idealist in hoping that whoever does buy them reassesses and relooks at that business case for a third player in the domestic market, and I will certainly support them if they do decide to do that. So anyway, that's my review. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have you flown Rex domestically on one of their Saab aircraft into our regional areas? And what do you think? I'd love to hear from you. So that's it for this week's video. I will see you again next week. And until then, make it a great day. Take care. Bye for now.